Hi class, today we are on Saxon Book 3, Lesson 68, and we're going to talk about congruent shapes. So this word congruent is a very specific word. It means that shapes are not only the same shape, the exact same shape, but they are also the exact same size. So I have some examples behind me on the board. These two triangles are congruent. They're the same type of triangle. They both have a right angle, and they're the same size triangle. If I could pick one up off the board and set it on top of the other, it would line up perfectly. These two are not congruent. Yes, they're both triangles, and they look to be about the same size. However, they are not the same type of triangle. This one has a right angle and this one doesn't. So these two are not congruent. Even though they're both triangles, they are not the exact same kind of triangle. So for our first example today, you need to pick out which set of objects or which set of polygons are not congruent. Are my triangles congruent? Yeah, they look like they're the same shape and they're the same size. Are my rectangles congruent? They are the same shape and about the same size. They're supposed to be congruent. Are my triangles congruent? Again, same shape, same size. What about my pentagon? This one's much smaller than this one. So this set right here is not congruent. They are the same shape, but they are not the same size, so we cannot call them congruent. Okay, the other thing that we see with congruent is sometimes we have two shapes that are the same shape and the same size, but they're turned on the paper. So let me show you an example of that. What if I have this triangle and this triangle? Take a look at them. They look like they're about the same size. They're the same shape. Are they congruent? Yes. So the way your shape is oriented, that means which way it's turned or which way it's pointing, doesn't matter in congruency. What matters is if I could pick this triangle up off the page and turn it and set it on top of this triangle, would they line up? Would all the sides be the same length? Would all the angles be the same angle? And yes, in fact, if I could do that with these on my whiteboard, they would line up. They are congruent. So the next type of example says, which parallelogram is not congruent to the parallelogram shown? So they have this is our example parallelogram. I'll put a little star in it to show this is the one we want to find congruent parallelograms to. So then they have choices. So choice A looks like this. Choice B choice C and choice D. They're running into each other a little bit at the end here, but if you take a look at them. So the question says, which one is not congruent? So if we look at them, man, C is kind of a giant here. That one's definitely not congruent to this little parallelogram. Now, in the book, it's a lot more exact than what I drew. If you want to see it in the book, it's on page 369. A is supposed to be congruent, B is supposed to be congruent, D is supposed to be congruent. Just notice how they're all facing different ways. The way your shape is set on the page, that's called the orientation, that does not matter in congruency. What matters is it the same shape? Is it the same size? So in this case, C is the one that is not congruent. So here is what I want you to do before class. There's a little activity, and if you're not in my class, you can still do this with your homeschool parent. The activity is on page 370. I want you to look around your house for two shapes or two objects that are congruent. So it might be you have two of the same things. You might want to check your Lego box. Maybe it's a toy. Maybe it's something that's hanging on your wall. Maybe it's something that's sitting out on a counter. You're looking for two items that are congruent, which means they're the exact same shape and they're the exact same size. So then it says name the shapes that they are and sketch both of them on your paper. So if you are in my class, when I see you later today, you're going to be sharing your sketches with us. If you're not, share your sketch with a parent or a sibling and ask them, are these congruent, and see what they say. After you do that, you will need to do your lesson practice, which is also on page 370. Again, if you are in my class, we will be going over the lesson practice together when I see you today. If you're not in my class, make sure you go over it with a parent or whoever your homeschool teacher is. Once you have finished the lesson practice, it will be time to do your written practice homework, again on page 370. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.